If you're a fan of The Song of Achilles and you're also a fan of Circe and you're just a fan of Madeline Miller as an author in general, and you're looking for another book that encompasses the vibes of both these stories, it encompasses a very strong female protagonist and it also encompasses a deep soulmate connection type of romance. You get these two very specific elements in the story, but you also get some very, very interesting political power play akin to Game of Thrones. And the book that I'm going to be talking about today is Babylonia. It's a 5-star read. This was a book that was kindly sent over to me by Source Books, and I'm so grateful that they did. But Babylonia dives deep into Mesopotamian and Assyrian myths, which I feel like is such a refreshing take because it is a part of mythology that I feel like is not explored enough. I did know some of the references in Babylonia and some of the things that they did talk about, but there were parts of the story that I was not familiar with, and I actually really enjoyed going in blind because it gave me a much more adventurous reading experience. The story follows 3 main characters. One is an orphan woman who grew up from nothing, who fought her way to the top to get herself in a position of power and to have everything. The story also follows a Babylonian king, a man who has the weight of the world on his shoulders and so much responsibility at that. The third character that we follow is his closest ally, who is the governor. He is a man who is plagued by shadow, plagued by trauma, because the tragedies of his past follow him like ghosts. Now, these 3 characters have their lives very much intertwined, and their relationship definitely weaves together as the story develops. This is a story that does explore a love triangle, but not in a way that you might think. Babylonia does not shy away from talking about really intense themes, especially when it comes to things like war and power and control and violence. But on top of that, Babylonia is a story that also explores love, it explores grief, it explores loss. Costanza Casati's writing is pure poetry. The entire time I read this novel, I was fully immersed in the ancient Assyrian world, in the turbulent lives that all these characters lead and do lead. And the one thing I will also say about this book is it's a story about choices, and it doesn't shy away from showing both the advantage and consequences of making certain decisions. I devoured this book. This book was excellent. This book was a 5-star read. I loved the romance in this. I loved the world building in this. I loved the characters in this. I don't think there's anything about Babylonia that I did not like. So if you are a fan of myths, of mythical retellings, if you're a fan of Madeline Miller, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, if you're a fan of poetic writing, if you're a fan of ancient worlds and you want a good epic book to lose yourself into, definitely check out Babylonia.